So hi, welcome to this podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
SeeMoreGlass.
There's some questions today about their upcoming album, The Things in Life That I Can't Leave Behind. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
So far it's been pretty good. I mean, a little less than Roaring Paper Spring, but I think that's just because I haven't done as much like marketing and promotion, but it's all good. I'm just excited that it's done and it's coming out before the election because I think it needs to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, the record, dude, fucking rips.
Thank
Yes.
you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
This
so
shit
cool
is
to hear feedback.
incredible.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that. It's so good to hear the feedback because like I haven't shown it to a lot of people yet. So it's cool to hear that you guys dug it.
Hell yeah.
Thank
Hell
you
yeah.
For sure. Fuck yeah.
I really enjoyed the middle portion, like tracks 5 through 7, I believe.
Excellent.
Or some of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Nice.
Mhm.
Thank you, man. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Those were some, I think the 5th track, Rosebud, might be one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. I was really proud of that one.
Fuck yeah.
Damn. Hell yeah.
Love it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
The cover art actually just happened about 2 weeks ago. But it came from, so I was inspired by, I found this random postcard on Etsy and I bought it, and it was from Russia, and it was this picture of this skeleton that was like, aggressively standing behind this, what seemed like a homeless person or like a hermit, and the hermit was like turning around, so I don't know, I just always thought it was really cool. And before I even had the idea for the record, I just bought it and had it sitting around because I thought it was neat. And I never do things like that. So it was strange that it spoke to me. And then I gave it to Tony, who did the art for all my other stuff. And I was like, I think this is the idea. And he actually went out. I think he spent some time trying to figure out what to do. First, we were going to do a canvas like the last one, but he was just like, that's just really not my style. So we decided to go with a Polaroid, which I'm really kind of glad we did because it has echoes of like Graveyard Gertie, which I think is cool. And he went out with my buddy Adam, who also helps with a lot of the stuff. And he was in like one of my music videos, and he's always just been an amazing sport about everything. But he went out with him, and he ended up being like the hermit, and he had this really cool skeleton that he set up, and I think it looks pretty sweet. But the black and white Polaroid that he took was actually the only black and white Polaroid that he had with him. So it's pretty magical that it ended up being that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just kind of fun. I guess it's just this idea of things continuing to haunt you, almost like Graveyard Gertie. But the title came from the title track, which very much like Roaring Paper Spring was the first track I wrote for the record. And my wife and her mom went antiquing one day or something, and it was about 6 months after Roaring Paper Spring came out, and I didn't have anything to do, so I was like, I'm gonna go down to the basement and I'm just gonna mess around and jam. And I ended up writing the whole last track, which was really a crazy experience. It was like over the course of an entire day, I just put everything together, and it's pretty much exactly how it is on the album. Like I knew what the drum beat was going to be, I knew how it was going to build, and I was so excited to put it together. And then everything else just kind of came in around that. So yeah, the title track is just the title of the last track, but I think it's about the idea that there are some things in life that you just can't get away from. You just kind of stuck with them. And it's also about trying to find the things that you can leave behind, I think, too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Huh.
So you mentioned 6 months after Roaring Paper Spring is when you started, the writing process for this with the title track. Curious when, you wrapped things up and had it mixed, mastered, and in hand.
Wow. So it was done writing, I think, probably middle of the summer. My lyric writing is weird. Like I'm always playing around with phrases and stuff. So there were songs that, like Deliverance, the first track, I was playing around with lyrics on that for a very long time. And the interlude for Birthday Parties for Capitalism, I was playing around with that interlude and like what to do with it for a very long time. So those were finished up pretty close to the end of the writing process in the summer. But we actually recorded the entire record in 13 days. in July. So I started July 5th, and we did 2 weeks. We did every day, and we were done in 2 weeks. I just had to go in one extra day to finish up like backup vocals.
God damn.
So yeah, but it was actually mastered, I think, mastered and in hand probably mid-September.
And
Damn.
then you
Yeah.
hit us up and said the release date was October 18th, and the rest is history.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it, man. I knew because of like Deliverance and Birthday Parties for Capitalism and even Surrender to the Sound, just like the emotion on those songs, like I wanted it to hit before the election. I don't know why, it just felt right to me, and I just didn't want to sit on it for a long time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Damn
sense.
right.
No sense in sitting on it. You don't have a label commitment, and it's just like if you feel like it's got to be out in the world, put it out in the world. You know.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
Do that shit.
excited. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Perks of
Mhm.
being an independent
As you should
artist.
be.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fun part. I can do whatever I want, and nobody can tell me otherwise.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
really enjoy that, actually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, right.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Let's see. So I started with the title track, which became the last track. And then man, it just came really quickly. I went through my notebooks. So I always keep a notebook like when I'm writing records and stuff. And I went through my old notebooks, and I had a whole bunch of lines from other songs that I want, or that from old songs that I didn't use,
Mhm.
that I wanted to use in these songs. And that kind of became the basis. So I had this page of like lines that I wanted to use for this record. And that's really became the basis for it. So everything I started writing, I really tried to fit those lines in. Um, I think one of them was one of the ones that came from Rosebud, which was sometimes we think about the bad so much we forget to let the good in. Um, and that one, and I think the line in the eighth track, which is in these days every coward grabs a gun, brave men choose a telescope. So like those were just, I just thought they were really cool, and I was like, I want to find a way to use them, and that
Yeah.
became the basis for it. But I just, kind of did the exact same thing I did with Roaring Paper Spring. It was a lot easier to write these songs than Roaring Paper Spring. And I think it's just because I had a handle on what I wanted it to sound like and how I write. I felt a lot more confident after Roaring Paper Spring came out, because people were like, "This is really cool," and I had a lot of great feedback from people. One of my favorite stories from the end of Roaring Paper Spring was this dude hit me up on Instagram just randomly, and he was like, yeah, I love the record, man. And like we went back and forth, and he told me that him and his son like listened to it and sing it on their way to school, and he took him to school, and I was like, that
Oh.
hit me so hard, because I was like, what a
Yeah.
neat thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to him wherever he is. Thank you for that wonderful moment. It just, it made everything worth it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, the only song that I had left over from Roaring Paper Spring that I used, and it's a song that I had been writing since college, was Heavy Conversations, the sixth track. That's a song about trying to talk to people that don't know how to talk about difficult things,
Mhm.
and like recognizing that if you don't talk about the difficult things, like nothing's ever going to get solved. So that was a tough one. But I'm really stoked about how it came out. And I think it was hard because I kept trying to fit it into this like verse, chorus, interlude, chorus kind of thing. But once I kind of let go of that idea, it really, really just came together.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Now you keep mentioning like the record, you felt it had to come out before the election. At its core, is it like a political record, or is it just that there are certain songs on this album that you feel like you're letting out your emotions on how you feel the current political climate is, and that's why you wanted it to come out?
In some aspects, I think it is a political record. Not in the sense that it's endorsing a specific candidate, but I think if you follow me and you know who I am, you you know where I stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it asks very interesting questions about the state of the world right now, or it pushes the listener to think about things that are happening in the world right now. So like the songs like Deliverance, like when I wrote that song, I knew I wanted it to start the record because that line, I grew up watching planes fly people into buildings.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was such a striking line, and it's so dark. And it's also pretty wild to think how much 9/11 like influenced our lives,
Mhm.
post 9/11. Like when you look at our political climate right now, I think you can trace it all back to that moment.
Mhm.
But yeah, I didn't want to be preachy, and that was my goal. It was like, how do you write a political record without being preachy? Because I'm not, Rage Against the Machines. I'm not like Zach De
Yeah.
La
Mhm.
Rocha up in here, but at the same time, I feel very passionate about my politics and the way I feel about um, what's happening right now in our world, and I felt I wanted to say something
Mhm.
meaningful about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I think you nailed the mission you went out to accomplish, because it triggered me to even ask you if it is a full blown political record or just a couple of songs on there that you
Yeah,
feel are your emotions about the subject. So I think you did a great job, because
thank you.
I obviously picked up on the line in Deliverance, as even
Mhm.
me, someone who didn't live through 9/11, that struck me. I was like, holy shit, that's one hell of a line.
Thank you,
Yeah.
man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And there's a little bit more to that too. So like there's those kind of bigger like political worldly songs, but then there's also like the intimate songs like Rosebud, or like if we're not here, we're probably somewhere else, or even Harvard, the eighth track,
Mhm.
which are very much about my relationship with my wife and how it's been affected, I think, by this political climate.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And also like just capitalism in general and the way that we have to exist within a capitalist society, and just
Mhm.
kind of sucks because you spend so much time working, you don't really have time for anything else. And sometimes you get home and you're so exhausted. When my wife and I are both teachers, and sometimes we get home and we're so exhausted, we just like, stare at the TV for a couple hours and pass out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's like there comes a time when you start thinking like, when do I get to actually exist as a
Mhm.
human being, and when do I get to do the things that I like to do, or be a part of this relationship that's so important to me? It's like, when do we get to experience the fruits of our labor? And it
Mhm.
seems like in our current economy and in our current way that people are existing, that's a very difficult thing to do,
Mhm.
just because prices are so high and wages are so low.
Mhm.
So I wanted to speak to it in a bigger way, but I also wanted to speak to it in a more personal, kind of intimate way.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Well done. Mhm. Of
Thank you.
course. So, what song off the album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Well, I would say Heavy Conversations, just because it took so long to get it together.
Yeah.
Um, God, favorite. Oh man, it changes from day to day. I think my top favorites. I'll do a top three.
Okay.
So I really like Rosebud, obviously, because like that song is a love letter to my wife and writing partner, and the greatest person I know.
Mhm.
And I love the ending of it is all about, like wherever we go, no matter what's going on, we try to find our love. Like we try to find our existence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I really love that song. I really love Birthday Parties for Capitalism, because I feel like it's a condemnation, not of Christianity, but more of like Christian nationalism, and this idea that people think that, thoughts and prayers are enough to curb the violent aspects of our society. And
Mhm.
it infuriates me.
Yeah.
And I'm also stoked on that song because I was able to slip some Shakespeare in there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the ending of the interlude before it goes into the last like little verse before the last chorus is all a song from Shakespeare's The Tempest. So I was
Mhm.
like, I had been trying to. I love it. I've been trying to work it into something, and it
Yeah.
somehow fit. And it
Mhm.
sounds really cool. It doesn't sound forced, so that was nice. And
Mhm.
then I'm really stoked on the eighth track. What's it called? All quitters are romantic, Harvard, which is a line from the movie with Brendan Fraser and Joe Pesci. Oh, with honors.
Mhm.
But that song's cool because I actually wrote it after a Let's Play that Evan from Into It Over did, where I tuned my guitar into like a different tuning.
Mhm.
It's the only
Mhm.
song on the record that has that, but it really kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone and made me write something different. And I think it works on the record too. So
Hell yeah, love it.
Wonderful.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you write the opener to the opener, closer be a closer, shuffle and see what fits? What was that process like?
the first time I wrote, or when I first wrote Things in Life That I Can't Leave Behind, like I knew that was going to be the closer. As soon as I wrote Deliverance, I knew it was going to be the opener. Everything else just kind of fell into place. It wasn't, man, I don't even know. It's just one of those magical things that happened as I wrote the songs. Like I just kept kind of listing them and putting them in order, and as I was playing in them in order and kind of listening to them, I just knew that's what it was. Which the same thing happened with Roaring Paper Spring. So I guess that's just how I write. Like I just know where the songs go almost intuitively, which is nice. So I don't have to like shuffle around and pretend and try and figure out where they go. But
Yeah.
I feel like the record has a nice progression too. So
It does.
Love it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Of course. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you were creating this record? I know you kind of went into it a little bit political wise, but if you want, you can go a bit more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so I wrote Roaring Paper Spring, and that was a record about finding hope in the Trump years. And then like after all of that ended and like Joe Biden got elected, like it felt like it was still lingering, I think, post January 6th. And like seeing that mess and just being horrified by it, and then like just seeing the way that this man would not let go of power, and the way that he was continually like running for president for like 4 years. It's just like, I thought after it was over, I thought the exhaustion of it would end, but it didn't. And I didn't know, I was still processing that, I think. So I think this record is almost can be looked at with my other two records too. I think they all go hand in hand. I didn't mean it this way, but I think if you listen to Gertie and then this and Roaring Paper Spring and this record, I think you can see them almost as a trilogy thematically, because they were all kind of written around that experience of watching this, dictator come to power and being terrified of what was going to happen. And it was an exhausting experience. And I think writing these records was really just me figuring out how to process that and understand it in a world where I'd never thought something like that would happen in my country. So
absolutely. Now you call it like a trilogy in a sense. I guess it comes to an end if he finally stops, or is it like a matter of like you're calling it a trilogy and we're on to something different for the next record, like just looking ahead?
I don't know. It's funny because I was listening back to our earlier podcast because I wanted to make sure I didn't repeat any stories, and it's pretty cool that we got to do this. This is the third one, and like there's fun like in jokes and stuff. Like we mentioned Fall Out Boy in each one of them, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, in each one, Fall Out Boy
I'm not
came
even
up.
a big fan. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, last time, Gloria, you were arguing about the American Psycho, American Beauty, American Psycho, I think.
Yeah.
And like how that was a superior record, and I was talking about.
It's their best record. Yeah.
And
some bad opinions don't change.
I have listened to it since then. It was better than I remembered it to be. So
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Yeah. Shane, shut the fuck up. You're not even saying anything, but shut up.
I love it. You guys are awesome. But it's so cool doing these and like having those moments that I get to like listen back to, because listening back to them was really fun because I could see almost my progression of thought too. So I'm very grateful to you guys for allowing me to do this with you.
Of course.
But the trilogy, I don't know. It's weird to think about because I haven't really written stuff outside of that aggressive political climate. So I imagine the next record, if there is one, I'll never say never, but you never know. It will hopefully be a lot less aggressive and hopefully a lot less political. But I guess that just kind of depends on what the future brings. I mean, it feels like a trilogy to me right now because looking at it, I think it all kind of connects. But, I think all artists kind of have this logical progression in their music, and I hope whatever comes next feels like that kind of a progression. I
Mm,
would like to write a record more like the Weaker Thans, which are
mm.
these really brilliant like indie pop songs.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's my specialty or not. I'd have to kind of venture out of the pop punk genre a little bit more, I think, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm about to embark on getting a master's degree
Oh,
Oh
fuck
wow.
here
yeah.
this next year.
Yeah.
So probably no new record for another 2 years, but after that, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Well,
congratulations
yeah.
and good luck. You got that shit.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Hmm.
much. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also very nervous because I'll be teaching at the same time, and it's going to be a
Oof.
lot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you got it.
You got this.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
In the dark with headphones on, listen to the whole thing.
Front to back,
I,
yeah.
yeah,
Back.
I think it's a record to contemplate. I worked really hard on the lyrics. I recommend also like looking up some of the references, the literary references, since I spent a lot of time really trying to work those in and make
Mm.
sure that they were meaningful and cool. And I think they add a little bit of depth to some of the lyrics. So
Mm.
I would definitely recommend that.
Oh yeah.
Damn right. All right. And this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Oh, this question again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
um,
Doesn't get old.
let's see. I'm gonna do 4. Taking accountability and responsibility. We'll throw the and in there, but
Oh,
yeah, because I think that's what
okay.
this record is about. Like taking personal accountability for the things you can control, and also like calling people in power to take accountability and responsibility for the things that they're supposed to control. Because I'm
Oh.
tired of watching it, just descend into chaos and people pass the buck and not do anything about the things that are happening to people. It's
Mm,
infuriating.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh
Yes.
yeah. Um, and in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Um, I think a little bit of rage,
Mm,
just because I think anger is a good motivator and it pushes us to act, and also, just a form of motivation, like do something, like vote,
mm,
get involved in your community, be that with local music or working with kids who need help, or just try to get involved with the community, or motivate yourself to do something with what's happening, because I think the only way that we move through this is as a community and as a collective group of people. And
mhm,
I really am tired of the isolation. I'm tired of the rhetoric. I'm tired of the fear and the all the disparaging remarks about people based on the colors of their skin, or
mm,
their gender identity or whatever. Like it's just, I'm over it. So please, if you listen to this record, if you love it, if you're moved by it, please do something. Do
mhm.
something. If we can't change a lot by ourselves, but if we all work together, we can hopefully get somewhere that's meaningful and positive.
Damn
Absolutely.
right.
Oh yeah.
You and me both. I'm tired as fuck.
Yeah,
I'm tired as
exhausting.
fuck.
It's
Yeah.
exhausting. I hate it.
Yeah, no, it's fucking, yeah.
It's all.
So are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
um Challenging moments. I think there was a moment towards the end where I was just like, I think I think I went into this thing of self-doubt. It was just like, is this any good? Like, are these songs any good?
Hmm.
Um, and that was just, I think that was just me being critical of my work.
Hmm.
But there wasn't anything super challenging about writing this. These songs came out very quickly.
Okay.
Um, I think lyrically, sometimes I was kind of like, I spent a lot of time thinking about lyrics. And the way that I do lyrics is the way my brain works is I'll have like a melody and a line and I'll just keep reworking it. So that was pretty exhausting because I kept trying to fit things and make things work, and sometimes they didn't. And my wife is like my writing partner and editor, so like anything that I write, I always take it to her first, and she tells me like if it sucks. So that's sometimes I would have something that I thought was really cool, and I'd take it to her and she'd be like, yeah, I just don't think that works, and I'd go back to the drawing board and do it again. But ultimately, like, she's the best when it comes to that stuff, because she's brutally honest, and I think that's the best thing a creator can have on their side, is somebody in your life who is honest and will tell you when something sucks, because it made the record better. But yeah, I think it was just reworking a lot of lyrics was exhausting, because I just couldn't get them out of my head, and I felt really driven to make sure that I got it right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so nothing super particular stands out, but I will say, after I finished the last day of recording, and I was driving home, I just felt this sense of massive relief. And almost excitement to be done with it, not just because I was excited about it, because I was, but like also because like these songs aren't in my head anymore. They exist in real life, so like I don't have to hold them there. So that made some space for a whole bunch of new stuff. And it was also the first time that I didn't actively have like stuff that I was trying to work on for like the past 10 years, because I feel like I've always consistently had songs that I've been writing for like 10 years now, and it was the first time I was just like, wow, okay, I'm taking a break, because my brain needs a break.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm right.
And for this last question, if you could collaborate with any artist for a remix of one of the songs on this album, who would it be? Manifest, throw it out there.
Oh, remix. Oh man, you guys with these questions. Oh my god,
we quite literally pulled this one out of our ass.
This is a great one.
The magic, Shane.
It's impressive. This one's stumping me. I would love to. Alive or dead?
I would say alive, so
Alive.
you could actually like put it out in the universe. If it's dead, I don't know. It's kind of,
man.
I don't know if we could do anything about that one.
I listened to, so my music listening changed a little bit while I was doing this record. I listened to a lot of Fugazi, and I listened to like heavier stuff like Drug Church. I would love to see I think Patrick from Drug Church like remix this song. I think that would be rad, and I think that might be in the realm of possibilities. If he were to hear this, he'd probably be like, I'm gonna do it just to piss with people.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Just a massive thank you to both of you. Like, this experience of doing these podcasts has been so cool, and like listening back to them has been so fun. And like, I don't get to listen to all of your podcasts because you guys are so prolific and you put out so much stuff. But it's incredible to think that we started doing this. Gloria, I think you were 15 when we started doing this, and like now, how old are you?
I just turned 20.
Just turned 20.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm about to turn 36. And one of the episodes I said like, yeah, I just turned 30 and I felt really sad about it. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
So weird. But yeah, you guys are impressive. Like the fact that you're still going with Good Noise Podcast, and like that you have had the opportunity to talk to like some massive artists, like you go.
Shout out Shane.
It's impressive.
Thank you.
I see names pop up like on Instagram or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, they're interviewing them. That's
I get email backs with yeses, and I go, holy shit, someone's lying to me.
And I go, wait, is this real?
Yeah. What an incredible thing you guys are doing. Like, yeah, shout out to you. You guys are awesome, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Appreciate you. We'll always have time to chat, as long as this thing's kicking another 2-3 years, if and when it's time for another record post master's degree, you know where to find us.
I will definitely be in touch.
Hell yeah. All
Fuck
right.
yeah.
Well, always a blast chatting with you. Thank you for sounding with us. This has been SeeMoreGlass, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.